You're sitting in the IELTS exam room. The examiner hands you a prompt about a topic you have absolutely zero real-world experience with, and your mind goes completely blank. It is the ultimate nightmare for any test taker. Take one recent candidate. She sat down for part 2 of her interview, aiming for a perfect Band 9. The prompt asked her to describe a piece of work she had recently produced. The problem? She hadn't actually produced any work recently. Rather than inventing a fake office job on the spot, she made a choice that seems like a mistake. She talked about a seminar on dental aesthetics she had recently attended. After the test, the examiner delivered a harsh warning. Because a seminar is something you attend, not something you produce, her answer technically failed to address the specific prompt, putting her at risk of a heavy penalty for task achievement. Yet, she walked away with a perfect score. Her Band 9 suggests that the examiner was listening for something more significant than literal compliance, a specific type of conversational control that works even when you're technically off script. To understand why that worked, we have to look at what she did before the pivot. She had already cleared the baseline hurdles, speaking with near-native pronunciation and a rhythm that sounded effortless rather than rehearsed. When nervous test takers try to hit their vocabulary quotas, they often force idioms into sentences where they just don't fit. This candidate, however, used phrases like two sides of a coin precisely when discussing opposing ideas, matching the natural context of the conversation. Flawless grammar and natural phrasing provide the engine for a high score, but that engine only matters if the candidate knows how to steer the vehicle when a prompt threatens to stall their progress. In part 2, she realized that trying to invent a story about a generic office report would force her into using simple, generic language. To avoid that, she chose to change the direction of the interview entirely. This redirection turned a vague, difficult question into a discussion about her highly specific domain of real-world expertise. Because her background is in dental medicine, she bypassed the mental struggle of building a lie. She was speaking from memory, which allowed her to maintain her natural pace and authority. This shift allowed specific terms to enter the conversation that she never could have used otherwise. Words like disharmony, body dysmorphia, and daily regimen flowed into her answer naturally. Had she forced herself to talk about a fake piece of office work, she would have been stuck with basic nouns and verbs, keeping her most impressive vocabulary hidden from the examiner. When you stop searching for a plausible lie, your brain can focus entirely on your delivery. Your tone becomes more engaging, and your confidence stabilizes, metrics that the examiner is actively tracking throughout the test. By steering the topic, she wasn't just avoiding a difficult question, she was building a structure that put her highest possible lexical resource on display. This strategy comes with a condition. Task achievement is a strict grading pillar. If your answer strays too far from the original prompt, the examiner is forced to lower your score, regardless of how well you speak. This is why she received that post-test warning. Describing a seminar she attended didn't satisfy the definition of producing a piece of work, leaving her grade entirely dependent on the examiner's discretion. However, a simple linguistic bridge can remove that risk. If she had mentioned that she had to write a report based on that seminar, her expertise would have been safely anchored back to the specific rules of the prompt. This same focus on depth is what separates Band 9 candidates in Part 3. While many test takers try to fill the silence by listing multiple shallow ideas, they often fail to develop any single point. A top-tier response focuses on vertical development. The candidate selects one concept and builds a complex argument around it using a hyper-specific real-world example. Examiners aren't looking for a list of general facts. They are assessing your ability to construct and sustain a fully developed logical argument under pressure. Most test takers treat the interview as an interrogation, where they are secondary to the examiner's questions. But a strategic communicator treats the session as a partnership they can influence. High-scoring candidates treat the examiner as someone who needs to be guided. They look for opportunities to pull the conversation away from generic territory and onto their own home turf. Before your test, identify 3 personal territories where you speak with genuine authority, whether it's a professional field, a deep hobby, or a specific life experience. The next step is practicing the transition. You must train your brain to connect any random practice prompt back to those predetermined territories using transitional framing. A Band 9 is a reward for the ability to pull any conversation onto your home turf, demonstrating mastery over the language by taking total control of the topic.